What's up, guys, and welcome to Friday night with us here. Um, it's a special edition tonight. We brought on a guest because we have done a couple drafts now, and we're starting to kind of look at more drafts coming up. And I'm personally having some issues valuing these Broncos players in fantasy. I don't know what's going on there. Their quarterback situation is not fun, but they have a lot of talent there at the same time. So I'm not sure how to value those guys. It's a little difficult.
Yeah, I think a lot of players, fantasy players, are having trouble kind of determining, is it going to be Judy or Sutton? Is it going to be Locke or Bridgewater? And How does each one of those quarterbacks maybe affect the those skill positions differently?
Yeah, exactly. So because we don't know this stuff, but we do know someone who would have a better clue at this. It's our good friend Jared, who actually lives out in Denver and has the Orange and Brew podcast. So we'll welcome him onto the show. What's up, Jared? How's it going, man?
Good. How y'all doing?
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk some Broncos.
Yeah, no doubt. Always ready to talk Broncos, right?
Always. You guys always back me into a corner and talking about Cowboys. So it's been the time that we back you into a corner and talk Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, and like for everybody out there, Jared is in our Roll Tide League, so he's in our group text with everybody in that Roll Tide League. So he gets stuck just listening to us talk about the Thunder and the Sooners and Cowboy and all this random crap he does not care about. And then one of his teams does something good. He's like, woohoo, we're all like, shut up. Just
It's like, oh, man.
So now we're inviting him to share your Denver Bronco knowledge.
Y'all gang up on me, man.
Yeah, dude, it's 9-on-1. It's not fair. But
he's a good sport.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the podcast, and we'll jump right in here.
Sure. We're doing a podcast about twice a week, just basically on all Broncos things. So, current events, predictions, breakdowns, those sorts of things. We haven't really delved into the fantasy football stuff. I think we're, at some point we will, Broncos specific. But since we're kind of in that niche, we can't go as broad as you guys can. So it's cool to be able to talk fantasy football with you guys. And then I also have some articles up on Mile High Sports. I don't know, if we have a big Broncos audience here, but, if you want to check out some stuff.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about Mile High too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Mile High Sports. So I write articles for them, and so does my podcast partner, Nick. He is the Dr. Nicholas Manning. So he's a very illustrious, has many titles, but he's on there too. So Nicholas Manning, and my name that I go under is JT Matthews. So check him out if you got some time. I think I have one releasing tomorrow about Garrett Bowles, and I've done some about. What was the last? I did one about Tim Patrick not too long ago. Just kind of hitting all over the place with that team.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Love it, man. Cool. So yeah, you're diving in pretty deep into the team there. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential that I get credentialed, so that would be pretty cool to be able to go to games and check them out and maybe talk to some players and do that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
That'd be
That's
sweet.
Cool, man. Big things coming then. And how long have y'all been going now?
We're coming up on a year for the podcast. I think
that's awesome.
Done, 50. I think we just released episode 54.
Holy cow!
So I'm not an old hand at this, but I'm more comfortable talking in front of a camera than I would have been a year ago.
No doubt. It's amazing how you acquire that skill, right? Man, that's more than one a week. That's a lot. Yeah, y'all are going hard.
We've been trying to push them out, so check them out sometimes. We just had another local journalist that covers the Broncos. Her name's Lindsay on this last. We just dropped the episode yesterday, and it's super entertaining. We trashed on Tim Tebow a little bit, all the fun stuff.
The former Bronco Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I didn't know there was that much to talk about for the Denver Broncos, but hey, you learn something new every day, right?
Well, when you delve into the full roster, if you do a profile on every player, that's 53 weeks right there, right?
That's right.
Yeah, they're down to the practice squad now.
It's a little more difficult with the season being in the off season, right? Because
absolutely,
you're kind of trying to figure out things to talk about. So, like, one of the things we talked about was Denver being on the list of potential hard knocks teams. So that's just something we batted around some ideas of like topics that they would cover, that sort of thing. But it's been fun, we've created it from the ground up, and so it's been fun to just kind of take it and roll with it.
No doubt. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's always fun
Yeah.
getting to spend time doing something and talking about something that you love. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
awesome. So cool. So since you might have some knowledge that we don't and our viewers don't have and everything,
Sure.
let's start off with the most obvious thing, and that's that quarterback situation going on there. I think that's that's on everyone's mind, because really that plays into a lot of those other players that we want to talk about. But so let's start off with that. What's that quarterback situation looking like?
Well, so far George Payton, the GM, has said that it's an open competition. I think that the expectation is that Drew Lock will win. Teddy was brought in, I think, as an insurance, and part of that is Drew has not been healthy for a full season yet. And so when we had, nobody backup, then it's like who takes over, and Jeff Driscoll is not going to take over a game and win you some games, if Drew's out.
Totally.
Bringing Teddy in is kind of an insurance policy, and then for whatever reason, if Drew doesn't show up, which is a possibility, he hasn't shown an ability to be consistent yet, then he could step in and do enough to maybe get us some wins, which I think is just what we're looking for right now, being bottom of the division for a few years now.
Yeah. It's a tough division, though.
It's a tough division. I don't know. I think that, Kansas City, I don't think there's any hope of us really overthrowing them anytime soon, unless something amazing happens with Drew Lock and he, explodes. Or, the other thing is that there's Aaron Rodgers rumors are still floating around. Trust me, in Denver, I don't know if you guys hear it on your side of the world, but we hear it daily that like this is a possibility still. Don't count Denver out. If he was to go somewhere, it would be Denver. So,
and if he does end up in Denver, that team becomes very dangerous with all the other I feel like quarterback's kind of their glaring hole.
Yep.
Like if they can just get Rodgers in there, like okay, they can give Kansas City a run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and I feel like Aaron Rodgers is smart enough that even if he comes in super late, then he's still going to be able to pick up the playbook and be fine. I mean, he's just the raw talent's there too, and so the chemistry you might worry about for a little bit, but he'll still win more games than Drew Lock, I think.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I'm hopeful that Drew will take a step. I can't say that he will for sure, but I think as far as tools go, he has the tools to be better than Teddy would in this offense. Right? He's got the physical traits. He's pretty good on play action pass. He's got an arm. If he can kind of put it together and be consistent, then this offense could be really powerful. Are we expecting that? Not necessarily. Are we hopeful that it could happen? Yes, but because you kind of have to be, right? Like,
right. If when he's your option, it's just like, well, we hope he's good.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy could come in and do enough. The problem is, I think that Teddy, when he's in there, he's a game manager, right? So between the 20s, he'll do probably pretty well. Yeah. But once you get into the end zone, the red zone, he's going to start pressing. And if he doesn't have the arm strength to squeeze some balls in there, you may as well just put Drew in there.
Well, you saw that with him last year in Carolina. Like,
right,
he can move the ball up and down, but they never scored.
Yep.
Especially with McCaffrey hurt, they just never scored any points. And I could see that kind of going the same way out here. Like for me, obviously not an expert, I hadn't seen enough of Drew Lock to really know that much about him. So to me, I see the Bridgewater move, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be the starter. Like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think being away from it, all you get of the Denver quarterbacks is Drew Lock memes. Yeah, I think that's kind of all you get once you move outside of Denver. I think that's all you're seeing about Drew Lock. So like you said, you don't really have any sort of true idea of what he has to offer. So it's kind of interesting to hear that there is a little bit of hope still there. Like you said, you kind of have to, but at the same time, I know as a Cowboys fan, there have been times where we've had quarterbacks and it's just like, we don't stand a chance. This is a loss, we need a quarterback, hands down. That's it, where there's no hope. So it's interesting that there's still a little hope there for Drew. If he has that talent and just hasn't really blossomed yet.
Yeah, there's been some stretches where he's played really good ball, and it's just the ability. He hasn't been able to maintain that, and really, hasn't been able to do that against really good teams yet.
Right.
And
Okay,
so,
now I'm gonna throw out an idea here,
sure.
and just run this by Elway if you want, but 2-quarterback system. Let Bridgewater take him down to the red zone, and then throw Lock in there, finish off the deal. I mean, colleges do it. Throw him in there.
It could work.
Like the Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. They should do the same thing, man. Just do a dual quarterback and go for it. It works at some colleges.
I'm not sure that Drew's the same athlete that Taysom Hill is, but
but maybe he can get something in the end zone that Bridgewater can't. So
yeah, I mean, he could probably fit it in some tight windows, but again, it comes to just consistency. If he can show some consistency, he could actually. I think he could be a decent fantasy pickup. I don't anticipate him to be a starter for anyone, but in a pinch, on a bye
or
week.
a 2 QB league, maybe.
Maybe
super flex or something.
I could also see him really paying off for all the Noah Fant truthers out there that have been drafting him as a top 10 tight end the last couple of years. And
perfect segue, because that's the person I want to discuss.
Absolutely,
is Noah Fant, and is the hype real? Is he that good of an athlete, and can he stay healthy? And how does that quarterback situation really affect him?
Yeah, I think that. Well, I'll hit on the quarterback thing first. I think that if Drew is the quarterback, he'll be more productive, and just because I think he has the ability to stretch the field. He is really athletic. He's a really good athlete. He's fairly healthy. We don't really have a tight end. We have Albert Okwuegbunam, who we got last year, who is a big physical athletic tight end, but I don't think he is the same caliber. And so once Fant's out, I think he presents more upside if he's on the field. Now he has underachieved a little bit in my mind. He's young. I think I got to keep that in mind sometimes, because I'm always like, when you take a tight end in the first round, it's like you expect him to come out and ball out.
Absolutely.
Well, tight ends generally take the longest of those skill positions to develop too.
That's true. I guess, you get excited about a guy and you see like,
absolutely.
Athleticism. But from everything that people are saying in camp, he looks great. Some players have come out and said, hey, this is going to be his year. He looks really crisp out there. He looks like he's putting it all together. I know he's at that tight end summit right now, that Kittle and Kelsey are running. So I know
with Pitts and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, that's wild.
That's just gross.
They're just trying to help everyone out in fantasy. They're just like, guys, we got to get our position deeper.
So I
have some wisdom. Here's some wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see him being a top 10 fantasy tight end. I really could.
Yeah.
I think he'll get targeted. Sometimes the problem in the past is like he'd get 5 targets or 6 targets in the first half, and then he'd get none in the second half. And so it's like, like what happened?
Mm-hmm. Why would you stop throwing him the ball?
Right, exactly. And so I don't know that if that's a scheme thing or if that is, him missing on his routes or whatever. But I anticipate him taking a step. And so I don't know that he's going to break, into that top 5, must start every week kind of tight end. But I think he'll be reliable, and I think he has the opportunity to go off on any week.
And at this point, you'd say probably still a better dynasty pick than redraft type guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think, if he lives up to his potential, he has the potential to be like a Darren Waller type, right? They're practically the same body type, both freaky athletes, great hands. I think he's got that potential. Will he live up to that? Hard to say again, but
he has a disadvantage from Waller also because there's actually some receiving talent around him that can take more talent, whereas Waller is kind of all they got. I mean,
it's a good point. Well taken. But I also think, if they can establish themselves as an offensive juggernaut, quote unquote,
right,
then the ball's going to be spread around plenty.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's just going to be who has the best matchup at that point in time.
Yep, I agree. And when you have those, because honestly, in my opinion, if you have great wide receivers, that's going to open up your tight end more, because they're going to get more of those. When you have an athletic tight end like Fant, he's going to be matched up against those linebackers a lot more. I mean, those are mismatches. And if they're having to respect those wide receivers on the outside, it opens them up, So,
it's a
I
deep
think
receiver class too, not class, but their depth chart's deep.
Yeah.
So the potential of him getting a good matchup is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Is Patrick the number 3? Tim Patrick?
I think that's to be determined a little bit.
Okay.
Right now, it's between him and KJ Hamler.
Okay.
And they're very different receivers. So Hamler's much more of a speed burner kind of guy. Get him in space, get him the ball, and let him go. Tim Patrick's more a big physical body. Get up to the catch point and pull down a ball. So I don't know how that'll play out. I'm guessing Patrick probably has the edge just because he's been in the system longer. And he was pretty productive last year.
He had some good games last year for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
he really did.
Considering he had to fill Cortland Sutton's shoes, he did an admirable job.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at that, when you have Judy and a healthy Sutton together too, like that's nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I think Judy's probably going to play in the slot, and so, in those PPR leagues, he may be pretty valuable.
Yeah.
As well, I guess we'll see because we just moved to a full point PPR,
right? Yeah, we did.
Oh, so now we see your motivation. Cool.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like no one else is going to take Judy, but I know this information, so I'll just take him in the 10th round. And
yeah, he's going to be terrible, guys. Don't even look at him.
Absolutely.
Don't even think about it.
No, so I think Judy should have. If you're looking at volume of catches, I think he's got an opportunity to be kind of the leader in the clubhouse for that. And then Patrick and Sutton will probably be your red zone threat guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we've done a handful of dynasty drafts already since the NFL draft, and you tend to see Judy going before Sutton, but Sutton's still the number 1 there. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think
so.
Good athlete.
Maybe the injury scaring people off. I don't know, but
yeah, probably. I don't know. He was coming off a Pro Bowl season, so
absolutely.
I don't think anyone should be too scared.
He's putting up those numbers. I mean, when you have an athlete like that and a good wide receiver, sometimes the quarterback play doesn't really matter, right? Or maybe he's so athletic that a bad quarterback is actually going to lean on him a little bit more, probably throw him some balls that he shouldn't. So there's more balls coming his way because they just lean on their really good wide receivers. So there's just more opportunity, which in fantasy, you just want more opportunity. What player's getting the most opportunity. And when you got a good one like that, I mean, look at Mike Evans with Jameis Winston, I mean, I think Michael Thomas is still going to do the good this year, no matter who his quarterback is, Devontae Adams, if he ends up having to settle for Love, I mean, he's going to be fine. So I think when you
get Locker or Bridgewater back in the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Man, sick.
Could you imagine?
Could you imagine they get Bridgewater back? No, just kidding.
And then Love is sitting up there going, guys.
I think they would have to start Love just out of oh well, we took him first, we have to play him. So
let him start and get murdered in the preseason, and then play whichever one of those guys you get back in the trade.
I feel like in a trade that the Packers would be like, nah, we're good. We don't need either of those guys.
We'll just roll with what we got.
Exactly.
We'll take the what was it, a receiver that played quarterback that one game because you ran out of quarterback.
Kendall Hinton.
Yeah, we'll take him. How about that?
Hey, just go sign Julian Edelman, bring him out of retirement, and be like, hey, you want to play some QB now?
There you go.
And some Antoine Randall L from back in the day.
Oh man.
Oh, I bet Chad Ochocinco's available.
Oh yeah. He'll be the kicker too.
Yeah, he'll just come out and do it all. Like, you can have Aaron Rodgers. We'll take Ochocinco. Appreciate that.
They'll sell some jerseys at the very least.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's honestly, I think that's why Tebow got signed to Jacksonville, because their owner is a good marketing guy. He knows how to make money and entertain. And I think he wanted to sell some merch, and it was just a good PR movie. People are paying attention to the Jags, with Trevor Lawrence and then signing Tim Tebow. I mean, I think they're going to have some people watching this year and selling some merch and stuff. So that's a smart move.
That to generate some excitement somehow.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
making like T-shirts that says Tim Tebow, Jacksonville Jaguars, praying for a winning season or something like.
I haven't seen those. That's great.
I haven't either. I'm saying they should.
They should. They should. Yeah. Go call them up.
Trademarked. They'll be for sale next week in our
Yeah.
merch store.
Yeah, let's get those in our merch store.
But yeah,
No,
I think a wide receiver like that demands attention, and so I don't think it matters who the quarterback is necessarily for someone like Sutton because he's athletic. I think it hurts someone like Judy a little more, where it takes a little bit more skill to get the ball in there, and between the linebackers or something like that. But I don't think it hurts Sutton, who's just a pure athlete. You could toss it up to him and he's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can throw the ball up to Sutton and he'll go get it. I think he's more like a 70-30 jump ball guy than a 50-50. If you put it in in a catchable range, he can get it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the point I was making, was he's not getting the respect he deserves in these early drafts. And that'll probably creep up the closer to the season we get and the healthier he looks on the field and practice field and all that. But for now, people are way down on him for some reason. His ADP is low.
Yeah.
Well, I think the uncertainty of quarterback just in general makes people nervous. I mean, look at how Devontae Adams has dropped in drafts from easily the number 1 to now he's probably around the 5th wide receiver coming off board, just because of uncertainty. And that makes people nervous when you're just not sure.
That's
people tend to I'm one of these people. I like consistency and security with my players in fantasy. So taking risky players like that is really hard to do, especially early on.
I mean, there's no bigger risk reward right now than taking a guy like Sutton or Judy with Aaron Rodgers still on the table. You know what I mean?
I know.
So it could go from being, an okay to pick to being an amazing pick.
Absolutely.
Honestly. And we may not even know if Rodgers is coming till August, if he comes, and I'm not really banking on that personally, but
not this year, next year, maybe.
I mean, just in general, I'm a little bit of a pessimist when it comes to that sort of thing. Like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Don't get your hopes up.
Right. But if it happens, and it's been floated around enough by local media and, people that are close to Rodgers that he doesn't want to be there still.
Yeah.
He forfeited money, missing OTAs. So it's like, and they've offered him a huge contract that he's not signed. So it's like, the guy doesn't have to play football if he doesn't want to.
The guy doesn't need any more money. The dude's rich.
Right. And so
he's married to Shailene Woodley, who is also rich. So
right.
Who cares?
It's not about the money for this man.
Yeah. So if he thinks this gives him the best chance to win, it may happen.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, then he'll retire and he'll go host Jeopardy.
There you go.
Yeah. And there's money to be made there too.
Right.
There is money to be made there as well.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting prospect, man.
I think Sutton has potential to be a top 10 fantasy receiver, honestly. And then Judy, I think, has potential to be kind of a breakout guy. And I think especially if Bridgewater gets the nod or if he comes in for an injury or something, because Teddy's not going to throw a long ball. He's going to throw short and intermediate routes.
Yep.
If Judy's playing slot receiver, then he's got to have an opportunity to have 12 targets a game, 10, 12 targets a game, Bridgewater's been targeting like our fullback, which is like a converted tight end, like on check down so much in OTAs so far. So he's going to take the safe pick, and Judy he's shown that he can run routes. He's just got to get more consistent catching the ball because he had a few drops last year.
Yeah, we had that last dynasty draft we did. I ended up with Sutton as my number 4 receiver, so
wow.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I don't want Aaron Rodgers to go there because, and I told Kyle this, I would be really angry if all these people that picked up Judy and Sutton later in the drafts then all of a sudden have these superstar wide receivers on their rosters and got them for pretty much nothing.
Right.
I mean, that would be crazy.
And I know you probably aren't going to ask me too much about the defense, but the Broncos defense has the potential to be legit.
Well, that was actually my next question, because we were talking about, if Aaron Rodgers thinks he has a chance winning there, that defense needs to be legit. So how does that defense look there?
I think it looks good. I think, from all of the projections, that sort of thing, Pro Football Focus has them projected pretty high. I don't remember exactly where, but a lot of our cornerback room is super deep. We drafted Patrick Surtain. We got Kyle Fuller in the offseason. We already had Bryce Callahan.
Yeah, y'all sniped one of our corners in the draft. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, that
Just
wasn't
saying.
Man, I felt Jerry Jones' sadness when Surtain.
My head blew up when Surtain and Horn went back to back. The 2 picks before us, I wanted to cry.
Yeah. And Parsons will be.
I like the Parsons pick fine because we got an extra pick with him, but
yeah,
it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was really tough.
But they're deep. They've got Justin Simmons, who's a Pro Bowl safety, and Kareem Jackson, who's no slouch next to him. They've got Von Miller coming back, hopefully 100%.
I was gonna say, yeah.
The Broncos almost always have a real solid pass rush.
Yes.
Yeah, they got Von and Bradley Chubb, who is coming off a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they have Malik Reed behind them, who had 8 sacks last year in Von's absence. So they've got a 3-man rotation there that's pretty darn good. And then our defensive line is just stout. Draymond Jones could have a breakout year this year. And then Shelby Harris is always effective. He may not pressure the quarterback, but he gets his hands up and he gets in passing lanes. Man, I just think the defense has the potential to be really good.
That's sick, man. Yeah, that's a pretty good lineup, honestly.
So
yeah, I can see why Rodgers would want to go there. I mean, it seems like y'all got all the tools. Literally, like Kyle said, it's like just your glaring position is quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If it wasn't for that, how's that offensive line?
The O-line's good. I mean, Bowles is coming off. He didn't get a Pro Bowl nod, but he should have. After having some terrible years, man, he led. I don't think he led the league, but he was second or third in holding calls. The last 2 years, he had 21 holding calls in 2 seasons. And then last year he was perfect. He didn't allow a sack. He had one of the best run blocking rates in the league. He completely turned it around.
His head just popped out of his rear end for a season, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it helps that we have Mike Munchak at O-line coach. He's worked miracles. He made that Pittsburgh offensive line pretty formidable when he was there. We've got some good young guys too. We drafted Quinn Miners. I don't know if you guys remember anything about him in the draft, but he was interior lineman prospect out of Wisconsin Whitewater.
Okay.
And he it's great. You should look up his training. I'm sure there's a YouTube clip or something of him pushing over trees and lifting water jugs.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember seeing that during the draft. They were playing his video. I was like, bro, this guy's carrying huge logs upstairs and stuff. It looked like he was working out in Norway. It was crazy.
Yeah. I think he's from Canada. And then but he's got the nickname the Gut because he always pulls his jersey up like Zeke. It has his gut hanging out. It's great.
That's awesome.
So he'll be pushing for a center start, and then we got Dalton Reisner, who's a good young guard. Graham Glasgow, who came over from Detroit, who's a pretty good guard, and then we brought over 2 other right tackles since Jawan James tore his ACL, I think, and never really played for us. So we got Bobby Massey out of Chicago, and then Cam Fleming. So between those 2 guys, they should have a nice competition on the right side, and should solidify the offensive line pretty good.
Should be pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I could see why Aaron Rodgers would want to go to that team.
Yeah. I mean,
it's close.
I guess it's funny because we're coming off a 5-1 or 5-11 record,
right?
And so that the thought probably around the league is they're probably
why.
Yeah, but now I mean, if you look at the pieces, you can kind of see. All right, they just need they're young, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Judy's young, Fant's young. Cortland Sutton's pretty young still.
Yeah, he's
25 or something.
Yeah, Drew's a young quarterback.
It's frustrating though because you can see the potential of all those wins, and then having to be patient for it.
Yeah,
it's so tough, and it's can we capitalize on it while we have these players, or are we going to lose them before they're in their prime and able to put it together? Yeah,
right. And
that's frustrating.
that's a potential with Sutton coming up. And maybe that's why in the dynasty drafts he's not targeted as high, because who knows, after this year, I think this is his last year on his contract. Which I'm guessing if he shows he's okay and battles back, they'll re-sign him. But they're not going to be able to keep all those guys either. They can't
Right.
keep Judy, Fant, and Sutton if they're all, premier offensive players. So
it's going to be tough.
Sutton would end up somewhere else.
His quarterback situation couldn't get worse.
That's fair. That's fair.
So it's like, his value should, if anything, stay the same. He's probably at his floor right now, which is a scary thought, but it's probably kind of true at the same time. Yeah. These rookie QBs, we don't know. I guess he would go waste away in New England with Cam Newton right now.
That's true.
So he would just be wasted out there. But yeah, or maybe Taysom Hill if he goes down. Who knows how that's going to go down in New Orleans. And I just bring that up to give you a hard time about Michael Thomas, really, because I know you're a big Michael Thomas fan, and he's
still going to keep that boy.
You let me down last year.
You still gonna keep that dude? I know he's a Buckeye, but come on.
That's a homer keeper. I feel like
it wasn't last year.
Not last year. Last year it was a really, really good keeper, and then he really screwed you over. But then he screwed over everybody. And I feel like this year, for me, I was like, it's not the best keeper, but it's his homer keeper, and that's a lot of people in that league have homer keepers. That's kind of the fun in that league.
I feel like he could rebound pretty well.
Oh, I think so.
With a full off season with Hill or Winston, as opposed to coming in when Breeze is hurt, I feel like he could bounce back and be just fine.
But, and again, he's one of those wide receivers that a worse quarterback's going to lean on. But Jameis Winston, again, he's had successful wide receivers.
Yeah.
And he throws the ball. He throws touchdowns to both teams. He throws receptions to both teams. He passes the ball around. He's willing to share with everybody.
He does. He does share the ball.
He slings the ball around for sure. Whereas if they do Taysom Hill, which I don't see Taysom being a full-time starter. I just don't think that's realistic. It has to be Jameis. In my opinion, that's just he doesn't play the right style. He's gimmicky. It's not realistic for him to be the full-time starter. So it's obviously Jameis.
I agree completely.
And he's going to sling the ball.
For sure.
So I think Michael Thomas is going to be fine.
Yeah. I think he'll be all right. I'm still thinking about keeping Robinson, even though they drafted Etienne, however you say it.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville. But they talked about lining him up, as a receiver at times. So I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're doing with Etienne out there, man.
That's a weird situation out there that I am probably avoiding. At least in a redraft, maybe later in a dynasty league, I might.
The problem is Etienne's going so early.
He's going too early.
That I'm not touching him. I'm not getting anywhere close to him.
Yeah, no. Clyde Edwards-Helaire type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother situation. Sorry,
Nick. So I guess lastly, just to jump back to Denver for a second.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it. Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon?
Well,
who would you take first in a draft?
I would take Melvin Gordon first.
Does redraft or dynasty, or does it matter?
I would maybe take Javonte in a dynasty.
Okay.
In a redraft, I'd probably take Gordon, and I think that Javonte will get carries. I think that it might be slow coming though.
It's not all. He's going to be week one starter like everybody's saying right now.
I was going to say that's the buzz around here is that he's just taking over.
No, I don't. I haven't heard that personally.
Cool.
I think
that must be everywhere but Denver is saying that. Then.
Yeah, I think people are excited about it. We're excited about him too.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he's really done anything on the field that warrants people to be overexcited about it. I think there's a chance that he could be a 50-50 workload kind of guy by the end of the season. I don't know that it'll start that way. And Gordon's been fairly healthy. He had a little bit of fumbleitis last year.
Yeah.
If he can hold on to the ball though, he's probably a guaranteed 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
Gordon's
You
great.
gotta
I
take
like
advantage and use him while you got him, because it's like
Yeah.
you said, they're not going to be able to sign everybody later on. Well, they're going to have to let Gordon go eventually,
Mhm.
so you might as well use him while you got him, and then let Javonte kind of take over.
Yeah, let Williams develop a little bit, and the less you use him now, the longer you have him on your roster, right? Because running
Yeah.
backs can wear down. If
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon's still good enough to use, and you're going to have him on your team anyways, use him.
Is
Yeah.
Gordon in a
Use him up.
contract? Is Gordon in a contract year, or has he still got another year?
I think he is in a contract year.
I think so. I think it's a
So-
contract year.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. It's either this year or next year.
Okay.
So it's coming up regardless.
Right.
And I think Gordon showed enough last year that he definitely showed he was the best running back on the team.
Yes.
Right.
Hands down. The guys behind him are not great. We got Mike Boone out of Minnesota, who
Yeah.
he's a good.
He's a
third-
strong backup.
yeah,
but-
and he's a good third back for us behind Javonte.
Yeah.
But I think Gordon and Javonte are just so similar. They're physical running backs. They're good out of the backfield. They're good blocking backs. I think that you can plug and play either one. If one of them's hot, you roll with them. You're not going to miss a step in the receiving game. You're not going to miss a step in the or in the pass blocking game.
What about just the receiving game?
Yeah, I think Williams Javonte showed that in college he was competent. I don't know that he showed he was amazing, but
Right.
he can take a screen and mow a few guys down and get a
Right.
first down. And Gordon's the same way. He's probably not quite as physical as Javonte, but I think he's a good vet. He's a good physical runner. When he keeps the ball safe, then he's a I wouldn't say a premier back, but he's a solid starter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, as long as he stays healthy. Earlier in his career with the Chargers, Gordon had a hard time staying healthy, and that was his downfall there. Last year, like I said, a little fumbleitis, but that happens. I feel like a lot of running backs go through maybe a season of that. I know Zeke had that last year too.
Yeah.
There's just some mental stuff that goes on there that usually running backs, they get over it and they rebound from that, So that doesn't really worry me. I don't think that he had that last year. I don't think he would repeat that mistake.
Well, look at Adrian Peterson early in his career. Like the first 2 or 3 years, that dude couldn't hang on to a football to save his life.
That's true.
And then all of a sudden, he went how many years where he didn't fumble at all?
Yeah.
Like if you can get over a mental hurdle, sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, and sometimes you lose that focus on that, and then when you have that little bit of fumbleitis, you and your coaches start focusing on it, and you get your mind back on it, and you practice on it a lot more, and you can overcome that hurdle pretty easily. It doesn't seem like a repeatable, or it doesn't seem to be a repeatable thing for running backs from year to year.
Well, and you mentioned Zeke's deal, but all they got to do is tell him to quit wearing sleeves, and he'll be back to normal. I think.
I think he actually figured out at the end of the season, like those final 3 games. I feel like we had old Zeke back. He wasn't fumbling the ball, and he was actually running hard and trying again.
Well, Tony Pollard showed him up. So
Tony Pollard made him look really bad, and everyone's like, well, maybe they don't even need Zeke. Maybe they shouldn't have signed him to that big contract. And I think he took that pretty personal and decided to come out and play ball again finally. So Zeke, another one of your fellas there, JT. You like him. So
the only Cowboy I
like.
Love it. So okay, that's interesting to learn about those running backs though, because everything I've kind of read or heard is that Williams is the guy.
What I would say about Williams is that he could potentially worm his way into kind of being the red zone back.
Okay.
I think Gordon had I can't remember. I think he only had 6 touchdowns last season, and so he wasn't premier in the red zone. So it's potential that if Williams is running physical and running downhill and hitting guys and knocking them backwards, then he might get some carries in the red zone, and he could kind of define that role for himself. I think that Gordon will still get the majority of the carries, But there's potential that Javonte becomes kind of that touchdown hawking red zone guy.
That guy.
So if you're drafting for a redraft, expectations should be tempered to probably just flex this year.
Sounds like a flex option.
For sure. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on them, either one of them being a starting back for you, unless you're in a super, super deep league.
Maybe a second running back in a pinch on a bye week or injury situation.
And I think they have the potential to really kind of have a two-headed monster. If it's working early, then you could potentially see their production go up for both of them, just to help Drew out so he's not having to throw it every down.
Wishbone, people, run the wishbone. Come on.
Well, you could end up with a situation like Cleveland where they just run the ball so much to take pressure off that quarterback because they can.
That quarterback.
The quarterback is in Cleveland, all right?
Like my least favorite quarterback ever.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I wonder.
It's funny, he made a lot of enemies up in Cleveland, and then now he has a lot of friends up in Cleveland.
Plants a flag in Ohio State Stadium and then plays for Cleveland Browns. Like, what are the odds of that, honestly?
I actually love that so much. It's so ironic, and I love it.
I just loved after the draft all the, like, Daddy's Home shirts and stuff that came out. Like,
oh, it's so gross.
It's too good.
Then he's crushing beers at Cleveland Indian games and stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was funny too.
He's a hero there now. Who knew?
Oh, pick a better hero, guys.
From zero to hero, right?
Do better. Pick Miles. I was gonna say Myles Garrett, but don't pick him either. Pick someone.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he's out here trying to decapitate quarterbacks with his helmet.
Swinging a mess.
They got someone on that roster. I'm sure is all right.
Maybe. How's Chubb in real life? I don't know.
Go back to Joe Thomas. He was cool.
There you go. They've got one.
They got one.
Austin Seibert until he was let go.
You definitely can't say Kareem Hunt either.
No.
Yeah, that's an interesting roster.
That's why I can't like him as a Broncos fan or a Buckeyes fan.
It's it's like the longest yard out there in Cleveland. They got the inmates and everybody else is the guards.
Cool, man. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Before we do, Jared, what do you think the Broncos season will end up with the current roster? What do you think the record's going to be?
Oh, man. Probably right around 500. Now we can't say 500 because there's an extra game in there.
Yep.
So I think they'll be. Man, we haven't done this on the pod yet, even. So I've got
playoffs or no playoffs.
That was my question. Playoffs or no playoffs?
I'm kind of the pessimist on this team. My podcast partner Nick's definitely the optimist. I think he predicted a 10-win season last season. So.
Oh man,
last season? Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
So
he's like a Cowboys fan. This is our year.
So I would probably say they'll just miss it. I think they'll be in the hunt. And I think that we have, and another thing for fantasy, they don't have a super strong schedule that they're playing against, except for the divisional guys. We're playing Detroit and the Jets and the Giants and
it's beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
Cincinnati. We will get Cleveland and Baltimore and stuff too. But we're playing, Philly. They don't particularly scare me. No offense, the Cowboys don't particularly scare me.
The Cowboys should scare you a little bit.
We'll see. With Dak playing, we'll see.
With Dak back, maybe a little bit.
We'll have you back on after that game.
You sure you want to do that?
Or maybe before.
No, during the game. Let's have
sometime
the game
around that. Sometime in or around that game, we need to have you back on.
I'm ready. I'm ready for a live stream during the game.
Yeah, that would be
what
awesome.
week do we play? I don't
know. Let's see. I got the.
You have the schedule
pulled up here. Of course, it's not going to say the week though. It's November 7th, so whatever week that is.
Okay.
So
right about mid-season.
Okay.
November 7th. Yeah, we'll get that down.
For sure.
That'd be great
to at least talk some crap and whether we win or lose.
Perfect. Yeah,
Cool,
it's
man.
always because if you beat us, we're gonna say it's always next year. You know,
Yeah,
next
that's
year's
right.
next year's actually our year. So
Yeah, right,
it's
exactly.
always next year.
You cheated. You had Brady in the locker room deflating football. Something.
All right,
Drew
I got
needs all the help he can get.
Yeah.
I got one last question then.
Yeah.
What's their record and playoff look like if they get Aaron Rodgers?
Oh man, they're at least a 12-win team, if not. I mean, I don't know that we can expect to beat Kansas City twice. I think you can beat the Raiders and the Chargers twice. We have some. I mean, I think we play the Saints. We play Baltimore. So there's going to be some tough games in there. But I think they're a 12-win team, and I think that they're pushing for the division. I don't know that they would take it from Kansas City at that point, but they would be. I mean, they're in the Super Bowl conversation if Rodgers comes around, because I think the pieces are there.
Yep, it sounds like it.
Quarterback play.
Yep, and then that veteran quarterback coming in could really bring that together. I
100%.
agree.
The league MVP.
Okay. Do what?
I said the league MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thanks for joining us. I want to touch on this really quick. We got a chat over here in YouTube. It says rumor on the streets as you're trying to go to Vegas Labor Day weekend, talking to me and Kyle, and that is the rumor is true. We are joining that draft out in Vegas on Labor Day weekend. That'll be September 5th. That night we'll be out in Vegas on a draft, and we are super excited to be joining that. We got to get all our tickets and hotel and everything booked. That was as of yesterday, Kyle, we made that call. So
Yeah, I don't know how he knows already, but yeah.
Oh, it's because of Piggy. It's because of Piggy Bank.
Oh, Piggy out here sharing.
I mean, hold on. Let me say, it's because we're kind of a big deal. You know, word spreads quick on where we're going to be.
Clearly,
they're setting up tables for autographs already, I'm sure. So
okay, I can get with that.
So
cool,
yeah,
man.
we'll definitely be out in Vegas, man. We just got to get our flights booked and get a hotel room, and we're there.
It's the weekend after we come out to see you, Jared. Actually,
yep.
Nice.
back weekends. We're flying.
Yeah, my wife is super excited to have me gone for 2 weekends in a row traveling for fantasy football drafts.
Oh, I'm sure.
She is stoked.
You know, nothing like a baby, by yourself.
Yeah. Baby will be about 18 months at that time, so she's super excited for that. Yeah.
That's not a terrible age to leave at all. That'll be great for you, though. Like coming from someone who has 4 children, that age is can be rough. I hope it's good for you. It's a little rough for me because my youngest is about that age, and he's pulling down cups off of side tables and making huge messes. And
we have a mess constantly. Yeah, I mean, he just destroys everything. Yes, and he can open all the doors now, and it's just
of course,
you can't take your eyes off of him for half a second.
No,
he's a blast,
man. Yeah.
I love it.
For sure.
It's her problem now. Anyways, with that being said,
you want to plug socials or any last thoughts before we?
Yeah, man, throw your social channels out there.
Sure. My personal, mostly on Twitter. Don't really do the Insta yet as much. I probably should. But at JTMatthew01 on Twitter and at orange_and_brew on Twitter for our podcast. If you guys are interested in checking it out. That's about it. And then I would say check out my co-host and brother-in-law, Nick Manning. It's Dr. Dr_N Manning on Twitter. I really like what we do, and so hopefully you guys would too. Check it out if you can. If not, your loss.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining us, Jared. It's been awesome, and now I kind of know what's going on with those players for my future drafts.
For sure, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
awesome.
We appreciate it, man.
Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye.